Today, every day, small cap investors visit Agoracom knowing this is the day to discover the world's next great company, to have their dreams come true. That's why I take to the open road, to find them, to tell their stories, to engage them, to bring them to life, because they want to connect with you from your office, your phone, your home, anywhere. Agoracom, find your dream.
Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Agoracom, in which we talk to small cap CEOs about recent important press releases. And with us today, again, Brad Wazell, CEO of betterU Education Corp, trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the stock symbol betterU, and for our friends in Europe on Frankfurt under 50GA. And man, do they have two amazing press releases for us to talk about. For those of you who are new to the story, betterU is a global education marketplace, and the only global education marketplace serving India. They're the largest in the emerging markets. They've got tens of thousands of programs. As a result, they've also got some pretty important customers and big organizations in India, but they're still growing, and that's what we're here to talk about. Their timing is perfect because the Indian government has a mandate to educate 500 million of their citizens by 2022, and India is expected to double online education from $20 billion to $40 billion. So it's a massive market. Brad, welcome back to the show.
Hey, George, good to be back. Good to be back in Canada.
You're not even unpacked yet, and you're not even unpacked. And we tracked, for everyone who does know betterU and has been watching these interviews, we had interviews with you all through India and the UK. You get back, you announce you're partnered with the National Skills Development Corporation, and you announce a working relationship with McDonald's. So let's go through those one by one. The first one is NSDC, that's the National Skills Development Corporation. You've announced a partnership with them. Before we talk about the details, how big is NSDC? Because obviously we're Canadian and a lot of us don't know who NSDC is. How big of an organization is NSDC?
Well, NSTC was set up by the Ministry of Finance in India. It's a large organization with the mandate to skill up 150 million people across 38 sector skill councils in every industry. Their focus as a government private entity, so they're both owned by government and private, is to skill up these employees across all these corporations in the country. That is their main focus. They have a huge credibility because everyone knows the government's very influential in India, obviously, just like most countries. And this group is seeking out the leaders of the leaders to work together to help solve this problem. So they work with Google and they work with Microsoft and all these large organizations who are trying to provide access to skilling initiatives and things like that. So from a scale and size perspective, one of the key things in India is, especially from an education aspect, is you have to have credibility and visibility that comes with that. Credibility for someone to buy education, especially in India. Education is one of the top priorities of every family. You could have next to nothing in terms of money, but parents will give up food and whatever to prioritize education for their child. Such a competitive landscape over there. So having a partnership with NSDC, the fact that they saw everything that we did and what we've built and recognized the value in our system was very, very exciting. And the meetings that we had were wonderful. The fact that they moved as quick as they did. When we got back, we had already outlined the roles and responsibilities of both parties, and we just signed this last week. But the turnaround was quite quick, and even
you just got back. You literally haven't got back yet.
Yeah. Even now, we're integrating into their e-systems, so their e-skill systems. But from a national perspective, everybody in India knows who they are. Even on my LinkedIn page, I've been getting invites from people in India right now, from some heads of HRs and some large corporations like Tata. Some guy reached out to me yesterday, and a bunch of other groups saying, just saw the NSTC, absolutely wonderful. How can we work together? So it is creating this buzz already, and it's just been a small press release from us.
And your buzz hasn't even officially begun yet, because July 15th, World International, you tell me the exact significance of that date, but July 15th, you're launching a national marketing campaign that's going to boost $600,000 in media buy with NSDC. At that point, what does that do for the betterU name in India?
Yeah, so we talked about how do we create positive visibility for both organizations, because this initiative is significant. You know, they're invested. You know, World Bank is a huge investor in this initiative as well with Skill India, and unfortunately, only investing governments, not private companies. We did meet with them last time we were in India as well. But they, we picked July 15th because it is World Youth Skill Day. And because it is, NSTC is all about skilling. They are going to run their own programs and initiatives. We're going to be announcing our joint partnership together. We're trying to get everything prepared right now to integrate into their systems, to integrate our systems, to create landing pages. We're doing outreach programs with our content partners to get them to participate in offering great deals, if not free programs for a period of time to the mass population, so that all of their learners and the population that they promote and represent, which is 100-something million people, right? So it's a significant group. When they start going to their platform or our platform or hearing about what opportunities they have with us, it will elevate us to a different level of exposure and credibility across the country. And we are doing media. So we're working with Hindustan Times on mass media campaigns, radio, digital. We're still looking at radio, to be clear. Digital, print, as well as blasts, direct database blasts to all their corporate HR groups and their networks, so that people can start seeing, wow, look, betterU has thousands and thousands and thousands of courses through their partnerships, which will be huge for NSTC as well, because they don't have anywhere near that. And this is part of the challenge.
They're a great organization with a great mandate. They're a massive organization, a fantastic mandate, but they really haven't had the platform. They really haven't had the ability to finally start skilling everybody, not as fast as they want to anyways. Is betterU their magic bullet now? Because
it is.
Thousands of programs, for that 150 million people that they represent.
It will be. It absolutely will be, because we've been building this company for the purpose of skilling mass people. Our business has been about the masses, not about the individuals. And I know for years people have been saying, why aren't you selling? Why aren't you generating revenue today? But individual sales is not, it's great, but until you have the mass credibility, visibility, and you have enough content to support the masses, it's extremely hard. And our vision wasn't for the small groups. It was, how do we address nations? How do we address all of India and all the sectors? And how do we build stuff that comes together really great? If we just had technology on our platform, which many people have told us, why don't you just focus on technology? There are lots of technology providers that just provide technology, but the sector skill councils, when you're talking about aerospace and hospitality and manufacturing and healthcare, all those different spaces have different requirements. Our goal was not a vertical. Our goal was all verticals. And this is what NSTC recognized when we got together last, and we went through.
That's why you got this partnership.
Yes, because they went, oh my God, what you guys have built, it's incredible. It crosses all spectrums, all sectors, content from all over the world, and your model enables you to go and source other content as and when needed. So we have this model that's very flexible for them, and they haven't been doing that to date, because for them to build something like betterU has, it takes a lot of global effort. People think that we're in India, we're just in India. For me personally, I've been traveling around the world, speaking at conferences all over the place, meeting with educators in countries all over the world, to bring these educators together onto our platform to help support India. From
a business point of view, because I can almost hear, the viewers at home who are watching this saying, okay, this sounds amazing. This is an amazing accomplishment, and July 15th is just around the corner. Safe to say, because I know you can't make projections and specifics and things like that, but safe to say that in 2019, you're going to start to generate some meaningful revenue from this NSD partnership, and that it'll really hit stride in 2020. Is that a safe assumption?
Oh, absolutely. And it's already starting to happen. On this last trip and the trip before, 2 recent trips, our focus this year has been B2B, trying to get corporates to see the value of what we built and integrating. So NSDC, when we do this promotion across the country, all these corporates are going to see who we are and what we've been building. So it's gonna start speeding up, accelerating our opportunities with these corporates. Because today, right now, I've been doing corporate sales. I have both two groups, Samir and Gurmit in India, that have been doing corporate sales. So we're a small team doing corporate sales, and we're getting some pretty good results just on our own. having NSDC as part of this announcement that every corporation in India will know who we are by July 15th.
Yeah, you're gonna go viral on the B2B level. You know, you don't often hear viral on a B2B. You always hear viral on B2C. You know, George comes out with an app and it goes viral and 5 million kids download it. But you're about to go viral B2B in India because all these corporations are going to start to.
But you got to think about that too. Even though it's B2B, within every organizations are individuals, and B2C will start flowing out of that because individuals in those corporations start seeing, oh, so B2B corporates will see us as a way to partner to skill their employees. Employees will see us as a way of, oh, I can take other courses that are outside my job because I want to do this or that, which the corporation won't pay for.
Or you know, George comes in because he's an employee of ABC Widgets in India, so I have to get this training. But then I love it so much. I tell my brother and my friends, by the way, if you need some skills, you should come into betterU because you need your own skills. So you've got a double viral B2B with corporations, and you've also got B2C with the users start using it for themselves and telling each other. So how big could this be? I know you really can't answer that question, but are you?
Well, we've been building this.
How excited are you about?
So I'm with this partnership easily a 10. And I'm not just saying that. I've met with NSDC a dozen times over the years, and I knew from day one that they're a valuable partner to have because of the credibility, their visibility, the access they have across government, corporations, employees across the entire country, sector skill councils. These guys have the networks and partnerships and relationships that we're still building, and this partnership accelerates all of that because the integration of our system with their system, as long as we do it right with them, and work as a true partnership to bring together everything the country needs and support what their mandate, which is is aligned with us, is to skill the mass population. So from a size opportunity perspective, we've built this company to support mass populations. You can calculate what that mass looks like. When we look at NSTC, they've been built to solve the mass problem. So the integration partnership makes sense for sure. And the opportunity size is quite large.
And if you had just that news and nothing else, this trip would have been a massive win. It's a massive win already. But on top of that, a couple of days after, or in fact, a day after, you announced a working relationship with McDonald's India.
Yeah.
Which is obviously a great win from a credibility point of view. Now, my question on that one is, it's called a working relationship right now. So I want to dive into what does a working relationship mean, and the fact that there's you need to complete some materials for their approval. I guess it sounds like you still got to go through a bit of a process before you can kick off, that relationship. But what does that relationship look like?
So I can't get into details just because we did sign an NDA, but I will say this: we're starting right now building programs for them. We have the approval part is because there's another program that we're working on currently that's going to get launched near the end of this month. That is training a lot of people, but there's multiple batches. They call them batches. Multiple batches that we're doing. The first batch, they want to approve that it's a successful training batch, and if that everything goes well, then we launch across another 6 cities and multiple training and a lot of people. But our relationship's new. We've met them twice. We've talked a lot. We've gone through, and they're excited about this as much as we are excited about this partnership and relationship because of what we can do collectively. Our skills in the online world will help accelerate what they're trying to accomplish. So the partnership, the opportunity could be significant. And I'm personally involved in working with McDonald's, and I'm personally involved with guiding the direction and scope of the programs. I don't know if you know this, probably not, but I used to work at McDonald's. So how
would I know that?
so one of my first jobs was at McDonald's. I was there for a year, and I was telling the group here in McDonald's that this account particularly means a lot to me because McDonald's set the base of how I behave today. Quite frankly, they had these rules of how you work and clean at the same time, and how you never stop. You always make sure you're busy on things, and it really set who I was as a teenager. And
wow.
so I explained.
Look at that.
So I explained to her that I'm personally excited about this, and I'm going to be involved in the initial development of programs to help shape and create the vision of how it could look for them. And it was just wonderful.
I'll tell you what I find very interesting about what you said, and a lot of it, all of it was very interesting. What was very interesting was what you said. It's a very new relationship. You've met with them a couple of times. So here we have NSDC going back to them. You've met with them dozens of times over the last couple of years, right? And that relationship finally unfolded and developed into a partnership. And McDonald's, you've only met a couple of times. McDonald's India, you've only met with a couple of times, and you've entered the work relationship. So that's a great sign. That's just something I picked up, in this interview. That's a great sign that you've seen a massive organization a couple of times and they're ready to start working with you.
Let me give you a little more context about that, because I think this is quite important. So my last company that I owned, iPal, Interactive Professional Applied Learning, our business was online development for corporates, for organizations like BMW and IATA and Scotiabank. So these were all customers of ours in my last company. So when I built that company, I started in 2008, launched in 2009. And during that time, that's when I realized that India and all these other countries were at a different stage of development than North America was. We were now on the verge of online education growth. It wasn't really a thought for the Indian context. And this is why I started building towards India back then, because I knew that as I started planning out how do we penetrate into this country, I knew eventually the corporations in India would start to accelerate based on access to technology, based access to internet, and online education is the only way to solve mass training. It's the only way. You have 50,000 employees, you want to train them across the country. You know how hard it is to do in class? It takes forever, and it's extremely expensive, loss of productivity, all that kind of stuff. In North America, it went through the same trajectory. It started off slow, corporations were hesitant, but now every corporation in North America uses online education as part of their main training for their staff. They do, of course, in class, depending on the type of learning. So the reason I'm mentioning this is because India is at a stage where their corporate growth of online education is going to hockey stick. It really is going to start taking off. And it already is. In that press release, you mentioned what Google and KPMG said in terms of they estimate it'll be in the next year and a half, $2 billion business for online education for this, and most of it will be corporates and things like that. So McDonald's adopting it and coming on quickly. It was the same with the other groups we met with. So Clove Dental, I mentioned the press release. Every that I mentioned. All these corporations that we met with, every single one, even one of them that we met with, within the first 10 minutes, they said, we want to move forward. We know online education is critical. We need to train mass amounts of people. What are our next steps to do this with you? So these conversations are very similar to what they were in North America 8-9 years ago. So I know today we've positioned ourselves that we have so much content across so many industries. We can simplify a corporate's life. Because if you think about that, a corporation, and the HR person is looking to hire or train people across 50,000 people across the country, think about that. How many departments they may have? 50 departments, from finance to technology to human resources to customer acquisition to sales to business development. Every single one of them have different training needs. The content that they need to train across the entire organization, they have to source multiple partners, multiple learning management systems, multiple integration of technologies, and these HR individuals are getting frustrated because it's very difficult to do all this integration. Or they can work with betterU and get access to it all through us, integrated, streamlined, and all of a sudden they have any content they want from any provider for any department that they're trying to solve.
So I think, Brad, you may have answered the next question I was going to have for you, but I was going to say, is this a sign of things to come, given the fact that you had such success already in India? You mentioned those other companies in the press release, actually, so you mentioned them just now. Is betterU really turning the corner? You feel like it's really turning the corner now, and that once the word gets out by NSTC, the word gets out by McDonald's, and you're probably going to have, the first question I have is, you think you're going to get a couple more deals out of the companies you saw, just the ones you saw, forget about the ones that are hearing about you. Is this the beginning of the business cycle? That's the ramp up cycle for you guys.
It absolutely is. Challenge we have is we're a small team, so we definitely need to increase our team. But it absolutely is. The opportunities that we have from what we've seen with meeting with the corporates and going through our whole scope of business that we can provide, the services we can provide to them. if it's any indication of this last trip and the 13 groups we met with, how 12 of them want to move forward, the 13th just weren't from an online education perspective, they weren't even in that space. But the 12 that we met and how excited all of them were, the integrated questions, the follow-ups that have been happening, all the proposals that have been written now because of it. If that's an indication, then yeah, it's going to be a pretty fun trip over the next year for sure.
Okay. Looking forward to seeing what's going to evolve in the next 6 months. Last question for you, because the last interview we did with you while you were on your whirlwind tour across the ocean, you were in London and you were seeing some, you're talking to financing, specifically the Global Partnership Family Offices, GFPO.
Yeah.
Can you tell us anything? Because you're really excited when you walked out of that meeting. In fact, you're in the back, for those of you who haven't seen yet, you're in the back of a London cab on your way to the airport. You want to talk to us about it and how well it went. Any update on how that's looking and what might be transpiring?
Yeah, I like this group a lot. The interactions since then have been great. I just talked to a family office yesterday, actually, that went very well. The guy said, Brad, I got to tell you that your story, everything you're building, it resonates with us because they do focus on India. India is one of their family offices they represent is from India, a large one in India. And he said the opportunities that we see are just incredible. Anyways, I was invited back to GPFO again on the 25th. So there is another networking event with more family offices. They asked if I wanted to come back because apparently our presentation was received, I guess, one of the best that they had delivered. So they got lots of positive feedback from the family offices that were there. So they wanted me to come back to be able to network with many of them. The guy I talked to yesterday and his CEO are also going to be at that event. So he said they're looking forward to connecting, but they want to keep going on the dialogue before that, which is great. And there was another group as well that was interested. So we're scheduling a call for that. It was dealing with these guys who have a different way of looking at things. Then, quite frankly, in North America, I struggle with people trying to understand the Indian context, NSTC, the world that we're building for is different than over here. And these groups, because they are from the UK and they have this there's a lot more connection to India, obviously, from where things were in history of the relationship between these countries. They have a complete understanding of the Indian context. They have a complete understanding of NSDC and the value and from an education perspective. So it's a whole different conversation with these guys. There is great opportunity, and this is why we're.
And you're going to be going back, on the 25th with two new news pieces in your hand of successful deals. So that's obviously going to only make you look better. Saying, "Hey guys, I saw you a month ago, and since then, partnership with NSTC, work relationship with McDonald's India." I'm assuming that's so. Are you hoping to get a financing wrapped up?
Yeah.
Do you have a timeline of when you want to get a financing? You already closed some private placement, but
yeah. So we're still working to close the remaining of the current private placement. The family office group is a little bit different because it's a larger ask. We've asked for between 5 and 10 million pounds. So it is a larger ask for sure. But even in the conversation with these guys, no one has said, "Oh, that's way too much." They're like, "Oh, okay, that's pretty good. Is it? Do you need more?" Like we've had those conversations. But I explained to them that we just need to hire the people we need. Can you imagine? Just a quick example.
Sure.
The success we've had in the last trip, just with us doing the sales. Can you imagine having 20 salespeople like us going from corporate to corporate to corporate every single day? The amount of growth opportunities that could come to our company just based on what's happened.
That's why I keep saying you've already had two. You've already got two agreements, and those haven't even kicked off yet, but they're going to bring more. So
yeah. So
I'm very optimistic, but I don't want to oversell it because it's not my job and not even your job actually. It just looks like commercialization for me is always that last piece of the puzzle that validates if someone's onto something, because we all have, anybody in the world has a great widget, a great piece of technology. They can brag about it all they want, but if nobody's buying it, it's just a hobby at the end of the day, right?
Oh, absolutely. And it was the same with my last company too, right? My last company, we were going out developing trying to work with corporates to develop online education programs. And when I built that, I was told I was crazy. Why would you build an online education company in the midst of the 6,000 that already existed in North America? And I explained because we're looking at completely different. And in India, the differences with India for sure is we are the only ones that have created this marketplace. There's no one else that has created a global education marketplace like this. Not one in India.
Yeah, that's powerful. I mean, that's powerful to say that. You basically own a country of over 1 billion people in it. You know, when
and people really need to understand this and do their due diligence to really appreciate what we've put together. It is not easy. It takes a lot of time. You know, many people have been upset that it's taking so long to build this out, but it's not easy what we're building. It's a lot of legwork and effort and traveling around the world and negotiating with multiple partners. So going back to the North America comment is when we first started building this thing and started going to corporations, you know, it took sometimes 2-3 months for us to close a corporate. And we did land a lot. We landed a lot of large organizations around the world. IATA is from Geneva. We won an RFP because of our process and our methodology. But people might not understand that space. They definitely don't understand the Indian space from North America, and a lot of people struggle with that. But I'm telling you, what we've built and how long it took in North America and what we've built in India is a huge difference because of the significance of global partnership integration that we brought together to solve mass educational problems. It's a real problem. It's not we're just building online education to help people because this is a nice way of doing it. There are serious issues in India from an education perspective that they don't have access to it. They don't have access to the global education that the rest of us enjoy every day. So bringing this all together will solve a mass
betterU is the only group that's
the only ones.
So listen, I've been saying it for the last year and a half that betterU not only has a chance to be just a great company and a great Canadian issuer and investors be happy, but it has a chance to be a massive global influencer and changing people's lives while you're also generating, hopefully, because we can't project it, but generating this great benefit for shareholders at the same time. So I think the sky's the limit, and I still think the potential is there for betterU to be a massive technology company in the next 5 years. That's my opinion, by the way, everybody, and I'm not telling anyone to go buy the stock. I'm not telling anyone it's going to be the biggest company in the world. So don't read into any of that. But I still, at the same time, like to assess, the companies that we're working with. And for me, betterU and betterU is just, wow, what you guys have lined up and how you do stuff is exciting.
So I do believe that. I do believe we can be the one world, one platform for education. I honestly believe that. We just need proper capitalization. And
that comes, right? And that comes with some sales. Like now you've signed customers, going to get some revenue going. That gets more believers going on the finance side, and before you know it, you become an overnight success because.
Exactly, overnight success after years and years and years.
Yeah, exactly.
If you go look at my original articles on my LinkedIn page that I wrote that talk about education for all, the vision of what I'm building, what we've been building for betterU for years and years and years, just read that article, and people can. If you look at where we are today and look at where we were planning to be, we're aligned with our vision from that way back then of where we planned on being today and how we got there. It's taken a little longer, and the only reason it takes longer is quite honestly it comes down to money. In order to hire more staff, in order to do all these things, it requires capital, and we've been undercapitalized for a long time.
But in fairness to you, for everyone at home, most people don't see that Google was not that you're Google, but Google was undercapitalized. Yahoo was undercapitalized. Everybody was undercapitalized, but you didn't see it because they're private for the longest time, out of their garages. Apple was undercapitalized, but you didn't see it because the difference with Brad and betterU is that you've had to go through that publicly because you gotta report to the world what's going on. You gotta file your financials. So now you have people saying, what are you doing? But the fact of the matter is that's what happens to all technology companies.
Of course.
You're going through that. So I'm loving what I'm hearing, Brad. Very excited for you. Very happy for you and your entire team. And looking forward to having you back on here. Look, July 15th. I see no reason why we're not having some kind of an interview on or around July 15th. July 15th when you launch.
In India.
Yeah, when you launch. We do it again from the hotel lobbies.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Brad. Thanks for being on with us today.
Thanks, George. Appreciate it.
You've been watching Brad Wazell. He's the CEO of betterU Education Corp. The company trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the stock symbol BTRU. For our friends in Europe, under 50GA on the Frankfurt Exchange. You've heard what he has to say. You've watched him say it. You know the news. You now know the news that's come out just over the last few days. Dig in, do your own due diligence at this point. Get to Agoracom, read the company's profile, watch the past few interviews that we've done with the company. Take a look at go to the company's website itself, because the link is there from Agoracom. Do your due diligence, dig in here, really watch the company, and hopefully you'll be joining us for the long haul with this one. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a fantastic day. See you next time.